Welcome to the Mortgage Podcast, where we give tactics, strategies, and inspiration to get you to 10 plus loans per month. We talk a lot about how to make a ton of money in mortgage while also being happy and thriving in your personal life. If you want to be a mortgage millionaire, you're in the right place. Hello, welcome back to the Mortgage Podcast with Todd Scrima. Today, we're talking about how to hire brand new loan officers into the industry. And I kind of nicknamed this Fresh Meat. So it's just kind of a gross thing to get us thinking. So I'm going to lead you through how we do this. And I don't know this for sure. To my knowledge, we're the only company that really focuses on this. So first of all, why do we do it? Well, Robin and I, we started doing this 18 years ago. So when it first started, we would have like loan partners that work for a loan officer, and some of them would become loan officers. And one day I'm looking around, again, about 18 years ago, and I'm like, wow, these people are really good. They have really good habits. They know loans really well. They know the loan presentation really well, and they just did great. The first time this ever happened to me, I'll tell this story and give Aaron some honor. Aaron was my LP1. And most of you guys know what that means. I guess it's kind of like a secretary for the team. They intake leads and schedule appointments and all that stuff. When she started with me, maybe she's like 21, 22, like young. Then she became an LP2 about a year and a half later or so, and she started taking applications, and she was licensed and all this stuff. And then she was really good with the clients. And I went to her one December and I said, Aaron, we sat down and I said, Aaron, starting in January, you're going to be a loan officer. It's time for you to fly the nest. And she just started bawling. Just tears just started falling down her face. And I said, whoa. Don't be so scared. You've done hundreds and hundreds of loans on my team. You know products. You're great with the clients. The realtors love you. You're going to do great. So long story short, she accepted the challenge, I guess, begrudgingly. And she came to me about a year later and she says, I'm really glad you pushed me into this. She said, I forgot, she made 3 or 4 times what she was making as an LP. And she went on for 20-something years, making big money and doing really well and supporting her family and saving money. And she's just great. It changed her whole life. So that was my first experience on getting someone new into the industry and teaching them. But then as the years went on, this happened more and more. And we kind of just encouraged it. Summit's always been like, hey, go for it. If you want to become a loan officer, let's make sure you go through a path and let's send you on your way. So we have, I want to say perfected, because I'm going to lead you through some of the metrics, but I'm going to lead you through an overview of exactly how we do this. And before I get into that, we've all seen the stats, and the stats are something like the average loan officer is 53 years old or something like that. We're kind of aging out. And I think that's because we don't have a mechanism in mortgage for someone to learn a career. I watched my mom at 41 years old go back to school and become a nurse. And I watched her study her butt off and work in hospitals and do all this stuff for 3 years before she graduated and became a nurse. And I see people go to law school, and they'll spend 4 years or so in law school to learn how to become a lawyer. And then they start on the job training, and they kind of start at the bottom, and they kind of work their way up. And we just don't have that in mortgage. If you ask me why, I don't really know why. I just know that it's factual. And so, but yet when you look at it, it's such a great career. And so you got to stop and ask yourself, like I did, like, how come we're not doing this on purpose? And why don't we do it on purpose? So typical me, instead of thinking about it, I just start taking action. So let me lead you through this process, because what I'm going to cover will save you about 18 years if you're thinking of doing this. Now, first of all, sometimes people say, Todd, you're so open on some of these things. Like, why do you give away all your secrets? First of all, if you want to put, hundreds of hours of work in and do this for yourself, I'd love to help you. Why? Because my life is about helping others. I don't think there's any secret. There's a lot of other industries that do this. I'll give you one. Edward D. Jones sticks in my mind. They have 17,000 financial planners across the country. About 70% of them are through their program. similar to what I'm going to cover with you. This is not a new idea. It just doesn't exist in mortgage. And so I'm going to lead you through all this. Now, just to finish Edward D. Jones, and again, not to single them out, but I do admire them for what they've done. Lots of insurance companies and all kinds of companies develop their own sales force. So this is not unique. But the company did make over $5 billion last year. They have 17,000 financial planners, and people really like working there by and large. So that's just one example. Let's go through the process. So here's what we do. Obviously, we get referrals. There's several channels of how we get people interested. We do LinkedIn ads. We do LinkedIn posts. We do private reach out. We run national job ads on Indeed. Like there's this whole front end process. From that process, we get about 20 people a week. Well, first of all, let me back up. We get about 200 people a week that say, hey, I'm interested in this job. I'm interested in this opportunity. As soon as they respond to us, they automatically get sent little 5 questions and then a personality test that they click on. We've worked for about 12 years with a data scientist company, and we have given this test to all of our salespeople. And what the test shows us is the super successful people in my company, what traits do they have that we should hire to? So it is a personality test, takes about 30 minutes. And so 200 people say, yeah, I'm interested. They're automatically delivered this test. About 60 to 70 people a week take the test. About 25 people a week actually have a passing score according to our metric. And we invite them on a call that I do along with our HR and recruiting team for 30 minutes every Wednesday. And they've already gotten videos about the position and some information. And on average, about 20 people a week that pass the personality test show up to that call. Well, they show up for the call, so I know that they have about an 80% chance of making it in the mortgage business if they choose to. So that's what that test shows me. It's about 81% accurate. So, and we worked for years on that, so that's a big piece. They get on this call for 30 minutes. I do 15-minute overview of exactly the process. And then if they want to continue, right after that call, they're sent an email. That email has, again, an overview of the program, the exact process we follow in writing, and a bunch of resources. So we have some videos they watch. We send them some of our podcasts, like just things to get them familiar with what mortgage is and a little bit about the company. If they reply to that email and say, I want to be in that 4-month program, we call that program Loan Officer University. And what it is it's a combination of live coaching and online learning. So several years ago, I recorded about 70 hours of content broken into chapters. So they have to view one chapter a day. Each video chapter is about, on average, about 15 minutes long. And then there's a few questions at the end of each chapter that they submit in the online platform. So they have that online learning center. And then every Tuesday, one of our team members gets them on a coaching call. And we teach them how to get licensed. And we teach them loan products, okay, and the loan process. So for 4 months, that's what he covers. Those coaching calls are recorded. So in case someone has a full-time job and they just can't make the call, they can watch it later. Also, people that were on the call can re-watch the call. So those recordings are sent out. Every Thursday, I personally get on the phone with them for an hour, and I just teach them about sales. So I go over the basic sales processes that we know work, and we practice. So my call every week is just about sales, the 2-step close, the professional loan presentation, how to target market, things like that. And so we'll pick one subject per call. I'll coach them on it. And again, that recording is sent out. At the end of 4 months, they have to be licensed. So you have to take their SAFE test, okay? So if they're licensed and they've completed the course, then they do a final exam. That final exam is they do 2 presentations in front of a group of 3 people. And we either pass them and agree to hire them as a loan officer,
or they fail. If they fail once, they can retake within 2 weeks and try again. And if they fail a second time, they're out and we will not hire them. So then, okay, they are hired and they are now a loan officer, okay? We give them a salary for a certain number of months so that they're not starving. They cannot, it's not part-time, so they have to be full-time in the mortgage business. And they start what we call an aftercare program. That aftercare program usually lasts a year and a half. And what that aftercare program looks like is they are on a call every single day with their manager. We call them an aftercare success manager. That manager is responsible for 40 of them at a time. And they spend an hour every day on a call, making sure that we're coaching them, all their activities done through a CRM, which is a big piece to what we do. So we have them do 30 calls out a day. And we also give them Jolt. Jolt is a program where we do all their marketing for them, and we have dialers that get them 15 appointments a month. So they get their coach for an hour a day, they have Jolt getting them appointments, and the loan officer is making 30 calls a day, and they're required to go on 3 in-person meetings every day. The goal is for them to meet with 2 referral sources each day and take a loan application or meet with a borrower. That's a perfect day. 2 hours of calls, 30 calls, 3 appointments, okay? So that's the structure that we teach them. We also teach them a vision. And the vision is very simple. It's the vision we have for our company, and that is we want 500 loan officers closing 10 loans a month. The goal for 10 loans a month is that means the loan officer is making $40,000 to $50,000 a month. They are saving $7,000 a month, and they will develop a net worth of $14 to $16 million in cash in 30 years. That is our vision. That's what we preach. That's what we believe. And that's our goal for everybody. So we message these things constantly, and they buy into those things, okay? So that's the whole process. After they do 30 loans, then they become a regular loan officer. And they start working for a branch and helps us fill our branches with highly qualified salespeople that are well-trained. So that's a long process. If you look at that from beginning to end, it's about 2 years. Now, couple, questions. I'll try and answer some questions that I think you might have. I told you why we do this. Some people have said, Todd, that certainly seems like a long time. Well, if you think about it, they're starting as a loan officer after 4 months. So they are producing loans. Their minimum metric is they have to close 16 loans the first year. We're very strict on these metrics. They have to disclose so many loans a month. They have to close so many loans a month. As they're older in the business, those numbers gradually go up, okay? So as an example, the first year, they have to close 16 loans. Now, some loan officers listen to this and they're like, Todd, that's not a lot. Some people think it's a lot, okay? We find that if we can get someone to close those 16 loans in that year, not only can they usually make enough to pay their bills, but the next year they're going to do 30 or 35. Then the next year they're going to do 50 or 60. Then the next year they're going to do 70 to 90. Then the next year they're going to be 100, 120. And so if you think about it like that stair-step approach, that is how it works. Are there examples where people do less or more? Of course, because we're all individuals. And so, you cast a vision, that doesn't mean that everyone exactly follows that process. But if you follow my logic here, you're talking about taking someone brand new into the industry. And in a couple years, they're making 150, 250 grand a year. In 5 years, they're making 500,000, 800,000, like big, big incomes. So this is going to take some work. And how we teach is very precise. We have learned to be, for lack of a better term, militant. Everything happens through a CRM. So we know if they are not doing the work or not doing the work. We get a daily dashboard. It shows me exactly who is exceeding goal, who is not. And we act on it every single day. So it is a lot of hand-holding. It's a lot of encouragement. It's a lot of militancy. It's a lot of pushing. There's a lot to all this. But I think in summary, what I want to share with you is that business is always changing. And I think this is one of those things where for some branches and some mortgage companies, they should really look into doing something like this so that they can really get people into their company that where they're really providing a lot of value. Because if you look at it, in today's market in 2025, there's roughly 50,000 loan officers that really do any business. And what we've been used to doing is we just kind of steal each other's people. And I just don't think it's a great business plan. Nor do I think that you can provide a lot of value, because if someone is already successful, then what's the value that you're doing? Maybe your processing's better, maybe your pricing's better, maybe your products are better, but the difference is minuscule. If you take someone in and you truly change their life, that's how you're going to get people to grow with you long term. And it's one of the main reasons that we do this. So it is fun. It is very challenging. It's thousands of hours of work. So I don't think it's for everybody, but I think for some people, they should really look at doing this as a way to grow their business and their organization. Now, I spoke about this in mortgage. I think you could take this idea to any number of industries, and if it's well executed and well managed, it will work. It's probably more details and more teaching and all that than a lot of people want to give it, but I would strongly encourage you that if you want to build something special, this might be one idea that you pour into and that you can take your team and kind of rally behind. So I hope this helps. If you do want to refer anyone to us, feel free. That Loan Officer University class, I left this out. We don't charge them for it. It's like a 4-month interview, right? That's how we look at it. So I can tell if someone's not doing the work, and we just, politely tell them to exit the program. They don't have this, they're not doing the work, okay? And that happens a lot. You're not going to have some amazing, like, oh, we got 100 people in the program and 70 of them became great loan officers. Those numbers are 10 to 15%. So you got to deal with big numbers, right? If you want to hire 10, say, salespeople a month from this program that actually work out, you're talking about accepting 100 to 200 people into your program a month. So the numbers are big, but as you go through the process, it's kind of like a sales funnel, and people show you who they are. And you'll end up hiring some unbelievable people and changing their life forever. So if I can help you anymore, please reach out. I hope this helps you. Have a beautiful day.